Hey, everyone. Welcome to our next installment of the cortisol detox. I want you to pop in the comments how you're finding this program so far. Is it helpful? What are you activating into your daily life so far? Let us know, please, 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 because I have one of my besties on this Zoom today, none other than Mr. Adam Barley, and the crowd goes wild. So I'm so excited to have Adam here because whenever Adam's on Zoom, we have fun. Would you agree? Ladies and gents, we have fun with Adam. So he's here and he's going to be chatting about habits and ways to really bring essential oils into your daily life so that when you enter into a space where stressors hit you, conflict, someone's come and visited you and they've dumped their story on you and you feel stressed or wrung out after it, deadlines for work, meetings, presentations, and you feel nervous about it, like whatever it is, this has an impact on our stress levels, which means it has an impact on our cortisol, right? And then that impacts our capacity to sleep deeply or have energy for the day or just to be able to think clearly. So I've asked Adam to come on and share some ways that we can lean into our essential oils. You know, he'll speak a bit into the supplements as well. We've had lots on that though. I want to really dive into essential oils. And I want you to use the chat section to ask any questions as you go so that we can weave this in. So he's going to present. We'll have some Q&A time recorded relative to, you know, the essential oils. And then, of course, we'll take it off recording at the end for anyone who wants to share anything private. How does that sound? Are we all excited? Okay, fantastic. I will catch up on the chat, but I'm glad that you are all enjoying this and getting lots out of it. And make sure when you're responding in the chat that you are sending to the meeting group chat, not to just the last person who spoke, because it'll just go to them personally and then I'll miss it. Okay, Adam, let's start, buddy.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Just to let everyone know, I'm talking on my phone because you're actually going to walk around the house with me a little bit today. You're going to give me a tour as well. So I can't see the chat. So I'm more than happy if you just have a little two bobs worth to jump in. Feel free to unmute yourself and answer a question or ask me something and interrupt in any way. And then we will kind of open up and have a good old chin wag at the end. But Vanessa will be on the chat. And if there's anything that you can't talk for some reason and you put in the chat, she'll let me know about that. So we're talking about daily habits today, and I thought the best way for me to do this is not my normal style of teaching, but I thought I'm just going to talk about myself a little bit today. The reason being is I find it really hard when I talk to my clients, they tell me that, oh, I keep forgetting to take my supplements or I keep forgetting to do that kind of thing. And for me, I find this really hard to understand. I don't understand why people do that. I know everyone just has different ways they live their lives. I know that Karen did a great presentation a couple of days ago, and hopefully you've either were on that live or you've had a chance to watch that replay. And she talks a little bit about habit stacking. So I guess what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how I habit stack in my way, type of thing. So first of all, I'm going to talk about three key points in your day to helping to manage your cortisol. The first thing you do when you get up in the morning, what I call sunset time and bedtime. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do in that way. So what is the first thing I do in the morning? So the first half hour looks exactly like this. So the first thing I do is I get up and I go to the bathroom. You're going to learn it all today, kind of thing. Because, hey, if nature calls, nature calls. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I end up in this room. So you're in my kitchen at the moment. So this is my supplement cupboard. And please don't get too overwhelmed by it. If you're a bit of a newbie and still learning about our supplements, you'll see, let me bring up the camera a little bit. You'll see I've got pretty much everything in here, kind of thing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So the first thing I grab my MetaPower Advantage, because we know that we need to take that half an hour away from food. So I want to have that in me as soon as possible. And we know that we need to drink this within 2 minutes of putting it in water. because then we start to lose its effectiveness. So all I do is I fill up a mug with water, and these things are really, really great. doTERRA has them at the leadership conference. If you're there, I'm pretty sure they'll have them at the customer convention in July in the Gold Coast. So hopefully you can come to that. But they're, they're little milk frothers or whizzes, and you kind of, it spins it around. I find, when you're just stirring it with a spoon or a fork, I don't know if anyone else has found this, but it's really hard to kind of get half the powder to mix. That'll do the trick for you, kind of thing. So they're really, really great. If you can't get it from doTERRA straight away, I guess any kind of kitchen store would have it for like milk and that kind of thing as well. So I do that. Next thing I do is I feed my cat, because if I don't feed her soon, the day is going to get really stressful really quickly, because the constant meowing gets annoying, and that's not good for your cortisol. I then go outside and I feed birds. I put bird seed outside, and then I put my diffuser on. And I'm going to take you over to the diffuser in a minute, type of thing. Those little routines take me about half an hour. And that is my standard things that I do at the start of every morning. Then I turn my phone on. So what they've found is your cortisol will peak in the morning to get you out of bed. It'll peak anywhere between 38 and 75% up. The average is about 50%. However, there has been some evidence that actually supports that if we look at our phone in the first half hour, it spikes it for the rest of the day. It is based a little bit on what content you then look at. But I know me, I'll check, you may, there's a couple of things you may check. You may check your emails and you go, oh, shit, I need to sort that out, kind of thing. You may check your social media and you realize, oh, God, some tragedies happen in the world. Or you check your account, you check your banking. Those are the three things I know I check. I'm like, oh, God, where's all the money gone? Or something like that. But a lot of the time, we don't normally open up. If you're opening up your social media and you've got something you open up with some affirmations or some nice music, go to town on that. But just be mindful of creating a little morning routine. And those are those are the things that just I can't get interrupted in. Now, occasionally I might be feeding the cat and the bin's full. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take the bin out. But then I come back to my little routine. Does that make sense? So toilet, MetaPower Advantage, cat, birds, diffuser. Then the day can go wherever it needs to go and that kind of thing. So what I'd suggest, that may be golden for you, or you may need to tweak it a little bit, but just if you make that little half hour, how can you start the day, can be a really powerful way to do that. And so I find, MetaPower Advantage is best for anyone under 50 to take first thing in the morning in general. For over 50s, they say try it last thing at night. Each person will be a little bit different, but just create that. So I've done that, because the harder thing with MetaPower Advantage is it's our only supplement we don't take with food. And the problem is if you're eating throughout the day, you're like, most times you come into the kitchen is when you're going to eat. And you're like, ugh, okay, now I've just had lunch, now I've got to wait half an hour, blah, 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 blah. So I get that done throughout the day. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to go for a little walk around the house. We're going to come back to the kitchen in a second. And we're going to come over. So I've got one big open living area, which is really, really helpful. And down here is my essential oils. Now, mine is, for some of you, this may up your cortisol already kind of thing, because there's 200 different essential oils here, all from doTERRA. Do you need this? No, you certainly do not. In fact, I believe that you probably need about 1/10 of this. Every household needs about 1/10 of this. I just like to have everything kind of thing. So I said we do the diffuser in the morning. There's a really simple question that I like to ask myself in the morning, and I encourage all of my clients to do the same. And that question is, what do I need today? Do I need a bit of an uplift? Am I feeling a bit flat? Which was how I was feeling today. I was at an expo all weekend, and I think I got a bit dehydrated and exhausted kind of thing. So I was really kind of feeling flat today, physically and emotionally. But other days, like, oh, I'm feeling a bit stressed. There's lots to do, type of thing. And this is, it may seem like a really simple question to ask yourself, but if you can do that and even spread that to other people it can be quite profound. Because we live in a world these days where everyone is telling us what we need to do. We jump on Netflix and it tells us what we should watch. We open up Spotify and it tells us what we should listen to. We open up social media and it tells us what we should know. So we're so busy having everything else telling us what we should watch, listen to, and think. But do we actually check in with ourselves? So, but depending on my answer, these are the oils that I believe everyone needs. If I need a bit of an uplift, does anyone want to have a guess what my standard oil for that is? Unmute and just yell it out.
Spearmint and citrus bliss.
Oh, there are combos there. I think I
Motivate.
did see better than Motivate. Citrus Bliss. Citrus Bliss is a great upper, and I believe everyone needs it just to lift the mood in that type of way, kind of thing. Now, if I feel like, okay, oh my God, my schedule is jam-packed, I've got a lot to do today, I've got to be on point, already starting to feel stressed, I have two options for oils there. What do you reckon they are? Yell them out if you can. I can see the comments as they come up.
Balance
Adaptive
and
is-
adaptive.
Exactly, balance and adaptive. Now, a lot of people ask me, do I need both? What's the difference between them, type of thing? So let me grab them. So the answer for me is actually in the colors of the labels. So balance is our green one and adaptive is our blue one. So when you look at the oils and how they work, and I won't go too deeply into them just now. If you do want me to go deeper later, we can. But for those that know the chakras, this makes it really easy. Balance for the heart chakra and adaptive for the third eye chakra. What do I mean by that? When we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or anxious or whatever, I like to ask myself or the client I'm working with, is it that you feel overwhelmed or are you thinking overwhelmed? Does that make sense? I'd love you all to think about yourselves. Do you get overwhelmed emotionally? You know, are you fighting with your partner and that's an emotional thing? Or have you got to remember all these things that you've got to do at work? Is that a mental thing? And so the mental for me is the adaptive. And the blue label reminds me of the third eye chakra, the mind. If I'm overwhelmed emotionally by something that's happening, having a disagreement with someone in my life, it's the heart chakra, I'm feeling it in the heart, I go to balance. At the end of the day, you can go either. They both have really calming oils in them, but that's how I work with that. And then they go in the diffuser for the day type of thing. Now, I did hear someone yell motivate. So we have what are called our mood management oils, which is our balance, our adaptive, our citrus bliss, and our lavender peace, which I'll talk about in a little while. And then we have an emotional aromatherapy kit. So these are little oils. You'll notice, let me grab one with passion. Not used to sitting at this angle. So we've got our little 5 ml ones. Let me come closer. And then we've got our big mood management and emotional aromatherapy. So in the emotional aromatherapy, there are 3 uppers in passion, motivate, and cheer, and 3 downers in forgive, peace, and console. Does anyone want to have a guess? What's the different purposes of these? Why these are great ones and these are also great, but are they exactly the same?
You can just come off mute, you guys, and respond if you like to.
Yeah, I think it was Karen said that she likes to use motivate when she's working out. Anyone else want to jump in with us? Just it's a bit of a tricky question.
For me, I found it was helpful if I was going through an emotional time. Say, like I had a period of time where I was going through a breakup. So console, I felt was so nurturing. And yes, it brings up a lot of tears. But what I felt was it brought up stuff really quickly, but then also cleared it really quickly. So it wasn't hanging around like for days and days.
Yeah. And you're kind of alluding to the answer I'm looking for there. These are your everyday mood management oils. Do you mean like most days, hopefully we all wake up and there's nothing, no crises happening. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, I'm feeling a bit flat today. I'll put the citrus bliss in. It's going to be a busy day. I need the adaptive in. Does that make sense? Big bottles, 15 ml, not as expensive. Use them every single day. The emotional aromatherapy kit, they're your emergency ones. Big problems happening. Do you mean break up, big fight with a partner, Cat needs to go to the vet and it's going to cost $3,000. When you're feeling heightened emotion, that's when we've got specialist oils. The oils in here are a bit more boutique, a bit more precise in that type of thing. Does that make sense? So do you need to have the emotional aromatherapy kit? Not straight away. I think everyone should have those mood management ones, and the citrus bliss, the adaptive, and the balance. They're really key to have. And then, that's why we have the great loyalty program with doTERRA, and add the ones you feel you need out of those 6. They come in rollers as well, but I also love to pop them in the diffuser. So as I said, today it was a really big weekend. I worked all weekend, and then I had my personal trainer and I had testing today. I'm like, I don't even want to get out of bed. So the Motivate actually went in today rather than just a citrus bliss kind of thing. But, we can all gauge where we need those and that type of thing. Does that make sense? Cool. That's the morning ritual. Because I understand that we can create all these different things, but we've all got lives to live in that way, type of thing. So let me adjust the camera. Then again, I think it's really important to have in your kitchen, sorry, this may make some of you nauseous. We've got oils for that. What I obviously have in here is I have all my supplements together. Now I'm a bit, I don't know, cheating, naughty, whatever it may be. There is a new supplement from doTERRA. It's available from the USA at the moment called VMG. This is kind of it's similar to Lifelong Vitality. So again, having these on this bottom shelf, whenever I come in to have the meal, that's when I have my supplements kind of thing. So I have my VMG, not the Lifelong Vitality. There's the omega oils that I have with that type of thing. But you would do the same if you've got the Lifelong Vitality, which is just as great. Get into the habit of just, when you eat, have them straight away type of thing. The other thing I have in here is the good old MetaPower Assist. If we have any questions about exactly what this does, I know other people will be talking about that, but I'm happy to talk about that at the end. The way I have it is I have it whenever I'm having a carby meal. Some people go, it's just best to have with your biggest meal of the day, which might be in a lunch or dinner. If I know that I'm eating bread, pasta, rice, or other grains, cake, chocolate, anything like that, I'll have this kind of thing. So sometimes I don't have any a day because I eat a lot of just proteins and veggies. Others, I could have one for half an hour before lunch or half an hour before dinner. Am I perfect and always remember half an hour before the meals? Nope. Sometimes I'm like, serving up and I'm like, oh, that's rice. And I'm like, quick, it's better to have it before or even after is better than not having it all type of thing. So again, just having it there and, clear out, if you can clear out a shelf like I do, can make it really, really helpful in that type of way as well. So that's what I do for my, going blank, for breakfast and dinner. After I've drunk my MetaPower Advantage, the other thing I have is I always start with my first glass of water is lemon. And then after that, my second glass is always MetaPower oil in water. And the third one is the MetaPower Recharge. So I work from home, so I'm home most of the time. So I try and keep the water interesting. So I normally go lemon, MetaPower oil, MetaPower Advantage, then I'm off and rock rolling around the other citrus oils and ginger and juniper berry and cassia and cinnamon bark and fennel with grapefruit. That's one Vanessa taught me. It's a really nice duo, that kind of thing as well. So that's that. So then we're just living our lives, doing our days, but having the, yes, these are at the top. If you can see the top shelf, these are most of the other doTERRA supplements. Do I take them all every day? No. Brannick Riggs, who is one of our top educators and one of our top doctors, says, just because we make them doesn't mean you need to take them. So what I do when I have my first round of, if I was having my first round of LLV and then my second round of LLV, I look up here and I go, is there anything I need today? So we have things like, we have our deep blue polyphenols that are great if you've got muscle aches and pains. So if you've been working out or if you're feeling a bit sore, great. We've got our detoxification ones that you can get as well. If I've had a bit of a wild weekend, then maybe I'll do that as well, kind of thing. So do we need them all? just stick to the ones that we're talking about in this thing is a really, really great start. And as you start to feel more confident, you can add them on as well. Okay. So let me tilt you around. I'll show you the main area of my house now. Not sure how much. Let me see how much you can see it. Okay. So you kind of saw where my oil box was there in the morning. That's what I call my sunrise diffuser. What I'm doing is, if you think about where we are at the start of the day, we are looking to prepare ourselves for the day. We're trying to boost ourselves up and motivate ourselves, or trying to calm ourselves down. Then we get to sunset time. So it's kind of getting to that time. My house, kind of the sun comes in the last couple of hours. And that for me is what I call sunset time. It's when the sun is getting ready to set. Humans are the only species on this planet that ignore the sun, because every other animal and plant changes its behavior in some way as the sun goes down. Most will go wind down, some will perk up, like our nocturnal animals and that kind of thing. What do? Turn on a light switch, exactly, and keep on going. And so we're actually throwing out our natural cycles. So am I telling you all to go to bed with the sun? That's my dream one day, but we don't need to do that, and that's probably not possible for everyone, type of thing. But what I do from that sunset time to getting into bed, I'm starting to wind myself down. When you're driving and you're approaching a red light at the traffic light, does everyone just wait until they're 5 meters away from that red signal and slam on the brake? No, but that's how many people devote their time, or when they're trying to get themselves to sleep, they go, and then try and make themselves fall asleep and do some quick things in the last 20 minutes before bed. And that is like slamming on the brakes, if that makes sense. So you'll see over there, that's my, what I call my sunrise diffuser next to my big box. That goes all day with the oils we've been talking about. And once that empties out, does anyone want to have a guess what I put in that one? If I had prizes, I'd give a prize, but you can just feel good about yourself.
Shirin Yoku.
Good guess, but no, not in that one. I'm going to totally confuse you. Not Serenity, no.
Is it
What
the
was the
junior?
question again?
What do I put after in my sunrise diffuser after my mood oil for the morning has run out? What goes in there after that?
Valeria?
No, they're all great, beautiful guesses, but let me take them the other path. Oh, sorry, go on.
Is this
Arom-
daytime or at sunset
At
onwards?
No, this
sunset.
is sunset, not sleep time. So you're all giving really good sleep options. What about when the sun's going down and we want to create that shift? What do you think's going in the diffuser?
Oh,
I'm going to guess again. Aromatouch?
No, that's a good guess. That is a good guess, but you're all very wrong. In that diffuser goes On Guard.
Oh,
Reason being, I'm at year 10 now, haven't had a cold or flu or COVID. And I put it to everyday use of On Guard. So On Guard goes in that diffuser every single day. That's the standard. However, if you come over here, to the lounge room, can you imagine if I was professional and had a film crew following me around? It'd be so much better. But sitting here in the other corner, next to my little stereo on that, is the sunset diffuser. So you're now in my lounge room. This is where we kind of chill out at night. In winter, we'll light the fire and that type of thing. This is where we want to start winding down. So we're spending this and we're inhaling a lot of this and that type of thing as well. So this is where there are lots of different oils that can go in here. The best oils I find are your conifer oils, your big tree oils. So what are they? Pop them in the chat. I can see the chat at the moment popping up. How many are there? There's a few.
Douglas fir.
Douglas fir, cypress, hinoki is
fir,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Siberian fir, yep.
Midnight forest.
Midnight forest is another limited time one, yep.
And of course, everybody's favorite, Shinrin Yoku.
Shinrin Yoku, yep. Arbor Vitae is another one as well, yeah. So any of those ones that come from those big conifer trees. So, the key ones, let me just go through the list, is Douglas fir, Siberian fir, black spruce, cypress, cedarwood. Cedarwood's really, really great. They've found that when you breathe that in, your body releases more GABA. Now, GABA is like the opposite to cortisol, and it winds you down. So especially if you've had a big day, cedarwood's really nice. Cypress, arbor vitae, hinoki, nootka sometimes comes out. And one day, before I die, doTERRA will do pine oil, which will be really nice as well, kind of thing. But then if you only have one oil that goes in there every night or every evening, it should be Shinrin Yoku. Just to go through, Shinrin Yoku is my favorite blend, and I've had the blessing of traveling around and teaching about this in many other countries, and I got to launch it in Japan, which was really, really exciting. So I've had a chance to talk to Dr. Brennan Riggs about it, to do promotional stuff with him. And it's really interesting, especially in America, they launched it really badly. Because when I talk to people, everyone's like, I love the smell of this essential oil. I don't care whether you like it or not. This wasn't formed to smell nice. That's just a nice side effect kind of thing. It's kind of like the MetaPower Advantage. A side effect of it is your skin, hair, and nails gets better. But it's all those other benefits as well. Shinrin Yoku was designed to mimic the air of walking through a forest. So when we breathe it in, we've found that cortisol levels drop by up to 40%. Heart rates and blood pressure equalize. Low goes up and high comes down. Those are our two major things that we've found so far. Now, ideally, with the Shinrin Yoku, whenever you're using it, I tend to use it in the evening and then in the bedroom at night. 8-hour exposure gives you the best result. It's not so much one that you just want to kind of fly past type of thing. All these results with the cortisol going down were through inhalation, normally while you're sleeping at night type of thing. So that's what I've got in here. Two major ones that I want to talk about that are really good for this cortisol aspect. The first one is Douglas fir. So you probably hear, if you've been around with doTERRA a little bit, you hear us talk a little bit about different types of chemistry. And one thing that you'll find in a lot of these big trees are the pinene. So there is alpha pinene and beta pinene. So alpha pinene actually has a centering and kind of uplifting. It's kind of it's not energizing like a mint, but it kind of gives you a bit more, helps you feel a bit more lifted, if that makes sense. Beta pinene actually is more calming to the body. It's quiz day today for some reason, but does anyone know which of our essential oils has more beta pinene than alpha pinene? Oh.
No.
Not Frankie. Frankie's high in alpha pinene. Alpha pinene we hear a lot about. Good guess though.
Nope.
Nope.
What
It's
about
Douglas.
copaiba? Copaiba?
Nope. It's that's got something else called beta. It's got a beta, but beta caryophyllene.
Oh.
So Vanessa got it right. It's Douglas fir. So this is the thing, you know, they kind of all the firs and the big trees, they all smell different, but their chemistry is kind of different in a way. So Douglas fir is one of the best ones for helping you wind down and relax. Now, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story that some of you may have heard me tell before, but it really kind of encapsulates the effect of Douglas fir. And it's a native North American story. You see, one day there was a wildfire going through a forest, and poor Mother Mouse was trying to find somewhere to hide her babies to keep them safe. And she ran up to the bear and goes, "Bear, can you help me hide my babies?" He's like, "I can't help you. I've got to get away from the fire." So she ran up to the wolf. "Wolf, can you help me hide my babies and save my babies from the fire?" "I can't help you. I've got to get away from the fire," said the wolf. "Owl, can you help me? I've got to get away as well. I can't help you." And eventually the fire got closer and closer, and all the other animals with their big legs and wings had flown away. And Mother Mouse started to accept the inevitable, that the fire was going to catch up to them and this will be the end of it. She started to cry. And at this point, the Douglas fir tree leant down to her and said, and I'm going to vanish while I finish the story, and said, let your babies hide in my cones of the tree, and there they'll be protected and safe from the fire. Now, if you look at a Douglas fir cone, which I just happen to have one here, I don't know if you can see, but poking out of each fir are the back legs and the tail of the baby mice. Can you see that? Maybe a little bit hard to see, but they're kind of like, let me find one, like there's a little tail and the two hind legs kind of thing. If you can't see it on that one, just Google Douglas fir cone and you'll see. It's really cute. So this is a really beautiful story to remember that sometimes we feel maybe that there's not a fire looming on you, but there is like doom is impending. Do you know what I mean? And that gets our cortisol levels up and we're feeling overwhelmed. Like it may just be like, I don't know how I'm going to pay all the bills this month kind of thing. And Douglas fir, in both the chemistry, but also in its mythology, protects us when we feel doomed or when we feel over-threatened. So it's a really, really beautiful one to diffuse in the sunset diffuser. The other one that I really, really love and that I want to point out, one of the things I had a challenge with about 3 or 4 years ago now, is I suddenly started getting up in the morning and had absolutely no energy and couldn't work out why. And I went to a doctor and they did all the blood tests and he's like, everything's fine. I had a friend, I've got a friend who's a plastic surgeon. I said, the doctor says I'm fine. What do you reckon? He's like, go to this doctor. This is who the doctors go see when you're sick. And this doctor said, you look fine. Maybe just need a bit more sleep kind of thing. But I was still honestly getting up in the morning and sitting on the couch and I was just like, I'm exhausted. So anyway, I ended up going to a naturopath after about, I can't remember, it would have been 6 to 9 months later. And he said, when did you have glandular fever? I'm like, I haven't had glandular fever. He's like, well, the antibodies are in your blood test showing that you've had it at one stage. So what had happened is that actually had led to adrenal fatigue. So I do live my life at quite a fast pace a lot of the time. That plus the glandular fever, my system was just exhausted in that way. So one of the oils that I really leaned into and I found really, really helpful for that is black spruce. Now, the Latin name for black spruce is Picea mariana, and that Mariana is a reference to Mother Mary. So again, I want you to think about sometimes, I don't know if anyone else knows this, but there are some days when every human in your circle of life is giving you the shits and you can't rely on any of them. And that can be draining. Do you mean like can feel alone and you can feel really like, oh, what, like, is there anyone can help me? And for me, black spruce is one that I diffuse in the evening and even into the bedroom at night to feel like, well, if no one in my circle is supporting me and helping me out right now, at least there's something up there that can give me some support. Does that make sense? So that's a really nice one as well. Now, you might love Siberian fir or, frankincenses are great as well. It's high in alpha-pinene. There are other ones as well that you love. Go with what you love. There's nothing wrong with that. But the big trees are all really, really helpful in that way. That's all I do at night. So my thing is, when I've finished my working day, I come in, and if that diffuser is empty, the On Guard goes in that one, and whatever I'm in the mood for goes into the sunset diffuser because this is where we're hanging out for the evening, for the next few hours. Cool? So hopefully, so far, I've been showing, I've talked a lot, but really, in the morning I'm getting up and I'm taking my, my MetaPower Advantage and doing those little things, but that's just it's half hour, and then I turn my phone on and deal with the day after that kind of thing. My supplements are there for when I'm having my first meal and then my last meal. I just have my supplements then. And this is something I do when I finish my job. When I finish working for the day, I come in. Sometimes it might be 4 o'clock, sometimes it might be 8 o'clock, and those two diffusers go in. Then the cat gets fed. So if you do it before the cat gets fed, then you don't get distracted by playing with the cat or anything like that. The final thing you want to do is let's go back over to the oils. Past the couches. Tilt you down. And then, it's about creating a bedtime ritual as well. So for me, the bedtime ritual and what I'd recommend is that you start thinking about it. We talked about the first half hour of the day, and we're talking about the last half hour of the day now. Again, how you feel when you get into bed will actually have a dictate on how well you sleep. And as we know, if we don't sleep well, then we have, we kind of get in a bad cycle. The other thing is, if we don't get a good night's sleep, we get these other stress hormones come out like ghrelin and leptin, which make us either they stop us from feeling full, they stop us from they make us crave more sugary and fatty foods and different things like that, and we kind of get into other bad cycles as well. So there are 3 kind of steps and ways that I use my oils and my other doTERRA products to wrap up the night. The first thing I do, half an hour before bed, is I go put my bedroom diffuser on. Now, there are 2 main oils that I feel everyone should have for your bedroom diffuser. What do you reckon they are?
Lavender Peace and Valerian.
Lavender Peace is one of them. Valerian's good. I don't think you'd need
Cedarwood.
it. No.
Vetiver,
No.
Bergamot.
frankincense.
Shinrin-yoku.
Oh, to bed.
Yeah, there you go. Again, because remember, 8 hours of exposure, hopefully you're laying it in one place for 8 hours kind of thing. So you're going to get some benefits for your cortisol coming down there as well. So if, I've got a big collection, and yes, bergamot goes in some nights, cedarwood does, vetiver does. I have all different ways of picking out which one I'm in the mood for that night type of thing. Peace and console or forgive might go in some nights and that type of thing as well. But if we're starting with sheer basics, lavender peace, which has got all the sleep oils in it, or Shinrin-yoku, which is really great for stress and cortisol, are your basic ones to go in there. I will then go and take a couple of the lavender peace supplement, which for those of you that are in Australia, we'll be able to look forward to them in a few months' time, and they've got a natural form of melatonin in them, so they're helping our body. Because we've had the lights on, it hasn't produced as much melatonin as it should. Then I go into the bathroom, I do my skincare, and I will use an oil in that as well. One that is a really good one that we've talked about is Console. You may not think of this as being a skincare oil, but there are 2 types of oils that are really good for our skin. Floral oils, if you think about a flower shows its beauty, floral oils are actually really good for the top layers of skin, the epidermis. So that's your rose, your jasmine, your neroli, your magnolia, your osmanthus, gardenia, blue lotus, all them. Great on the face. Your wood and your resin oils, if you think about where the oil comes from, deep within, so your sandalwood, your cedarwood, your myrrh, your copaiba, your frankincense, they're good for the deeper layers of skin. Does anyone know what Console is a combination of? Florals and woods. So a drop of this with your moisturizer is a really great one for actually just using your oil, your oils in that way, type of thing. Then the final thing I do when I get into bed is I rub some oils on my feet. Now we have the amazing lavender peace stick, which has the valerian in it. That's a nice, easy one. That's what my partner uses every night because he's not an unusual Gemini that likes to have a different thing every night. But I will use various ones. But again, the lavender peace is an amazing option. The conifer oils are a good one as well. But my favorite when it comes to dealing with stress is Tulsi. Now, I don't know if you've realized, but Tulsi is actually, if you're in Australia at the moment, it's on sale in the marketplace. They haven't really talked about it. It's bloody cheap. Get yourself some of this. For me and adrenal fatigue, Tulsi and black spruce were the 2 main oils that really, really helped me in that way. So if you are feeling really exhausted and your adrenals are overstretched and that type of thing, Tulsi is absolutely amazing. You may find when you first work with it, it smells a bit gross. I actually smell chocolate now, so it's actually quite nice in that way, type of thing. So that is kind of my evening ritual in the last half hour is diffuser on, skincare, and my supplement as well, and then the oils on the feet. And when you, like, I don't have time for these elaborate rituals throughout the day. So, but if you can kind of get into the habit, the first, how you start the day and how you end your day, it can really set you up really nicely and that kind of thing as well. So those were the main things. Let me take you off the, oh no, I can sit you up on this weird angle if you're happy with this. Those are the main things that I wanted to share with you today. Now, I've talked about what I do and what I'd encourage you to do. If what I do would work for you, then mimic it. If what I do doesn't work for you for a certain reason, then work out what would. But as you can see, I have every single morning, toilet, Metapower, cat, birds, diffusers. And then my water is probably after that. And then the day starts kind of thing. But I've already had my Metapower advantage and I'm off and running kind of thing. At night, you know, I'm winding myself down in that type of way as well. And it just becomes a habit. Whether you have a small collection of essential oils or you've got every single oil, that the fun of that is just, you know, basically all these oils are either uppers or downers. Work that out and then just put your uppers when you need an upper and your downers when you need a downer. And if you're not sure about a particular oil, ask me about that and I can talk about that as well, kind of thing. So that's the content that I wanted to share with you today, but I'm happy to answer as many questions, talk about anything you want. If you've got a certain oil that you're not too sure about, I can talk a bit more about that, but I'm going to hand it back to Vanessa and it's all in your hands now.
That was fantastic. Thanks, Adam. I'm just going to remove the spotlight. Okay, great. Thank you, Adam. Amazing. So we have some questions. There's one on Melissa there that I'll just address if that's okay. So the chemistry for Melissa, which is lemon balm, could be combined with other adrenal supporting essential oils, such as tulsi, frankincense, your spruces, rosemary even, basil. It's not one that is a standout for adrenal support. Well, not from what I've studied anyway, but it is a powerhouse. So if your adrenals are compromised, it will often lead to your mental health being compromised, moods being compromised, and even immune system being compromised. And that is where Melissa can shine really brightly. So Melissa is a huge light bearer, phenomenal for very low mood states, such as, you know, we've talked about depressed states in this program, which can happen with cortisol dysregulation. So Melissa would be brilliant with bergamot and frankincense, for instance, and a touch of rosemary, yeah? So that's more the context of where Melissa would come in. Is that helpful?
Can I add to something to that, Vanessa?
Yeah.
Remember that if you're in Australia or New Zealand, the products of the month for the last 2 months were Affirm last month, which is part of the yoga collection. That and Anchor, I find Anchor to be the best downer of every single oil. Like it is like an anchor when you're really, 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 really scattered. That's great. And then Ascend, which is a product of the month this month, has that Melissa in it. And that's a really nice alternative for uplifting as well. So, you know, do you need to have the yoga collection? They're nice to have, not a have to have, in my opinion, type of thing. But you can kind of go, okay, well, I need an upper today. I won't use Citrus Bliss. I'll use Ascend while I got it because I got it for free this month, type of thing. So that's another way you can use that one.
Yeah. There was a question in there from Prue. What's the oil that you put on your big toe? So I thought you were talking about for sleep or to slow the mind down. So I gave some ideas for that, which is vetiver. I started teaching on that years and years ago. I'll always, because I call vetiver the horse tranquilizer of the aromatherapy kingdom. So when you hear that around, that's because of its chemistry, right? However, Dr. Hill taught us many years ago when we were at one of the conventions with him that cedarwood is another great one on the big toe, you know, behind the ears. And that's another great one before sleep to slow down a busy mind. And now that we have valerian, that's another big knockout one. It's like an elephant tranquilizer. It's looks fantastic. However, I am seeing some comments in there on blue tansy, which is also correct because Emily Wright and others do this blue tansy challenge. So, Prue, I'm not sure what you wanted that for, but hopefully you've got your answers there. If not, just feel free to come off mute or write another question for further clarity. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Oh, okay. So Tulsi, in your workbook, I've actually featured that. I've done like a whole page feature on Tulsi because it's such a powerful one for all of you on this cortisol detox. So if you haven't looked at the little workbook that I've created for you all, please go into Thinkific portal and you'll find it there. And some blends as well. Okay, great. Yep, blue tansy. And blue tansy, so the blues are all anti-inflammatory. And if you look at that at an energetic and also mental level, that means it's going to help reduce, if I say to you an inflamed mind, do you know what I mean? Like a mind that's just full of chaos and mayhem and thoughts running through, and you know, maybe there's lots of anger or frustration, or you're running a loop on stories. The chamomiles and the tansies are beautiful to help slow that down and cool it down. They're very cooling in their chemistry. So yeah, it's a good one for before sleep. I love tansy at sleep time. I'll put on my face with Yarrow Pom and, you know, in the lotions and potions doTERRA has. Okay. That's great, Karen. Anyone else have any questions before we go off mute?
I have a question for
Yeah.
Adam, because we spoke a lot yesterday about different things and everything. I got a full-time job trying to do doTERRA as well. So I need to do that like after work. I come home from work 3:30, 4 o'clock, absolutely exhausted. I need to be carrying on, if you know what I mean. So what is the best routine for me to do that? I do the Advantage, I do the vitamins, etc. I do diffuse oils as well. So what is the best thing for me to go and actually be able to do that? Because it's still quite early in the day. I do wake quite early in the morning, but I do need to be able to carry on with my day. So what is the best thing to do with that? Okay, diffuse oils in the morning, diffuse oils in the afternoon, and then I come home from my work. What do I do then?
Cool. Can I just ask one clarifying question as well? So you kind of got extra things you need to do, like your doTERRA sharing in the, you know, late afternoon. What time are you doing that till? Or have, you know, I know every day is different, but you're doing that till 6 and then dinner and then kind of winding down?
It would be. I'm trying to, as you know, I'm trying to establish that routine, but I know I need to come in and be able to actually do that. I know I need space before I can do that to get my oils in place and then to be able to like carry on.
Yeah, in the diffuser, the oils that I'd really be leaning into are your small plant leaf oils.
Yeah.
So again, the small plant leaf oil. So what do I mean by that? That would be things like, probably the first one that comes to mind is spearmint.
Yeah.
Too late for peppermint in the day, I would say, because that's a, you know, that's a big pick me up. But your rosemary, your Spanish sage, your basil.
Yeah.
You could, if you like the smell of Tulsi, you could diffuse that type of thing.
Yeah. Great.
And also, if you don't, you know, if you don't really want everything to smell like you know, running an Italian cooking restaurant or something like that, that's where the citruses come in. People often feel, you know, mints are stimulating, especially like peppermint and our Japanese mint and that type of thing, whereas the citruses are uplifting. They're uplifting to the mood. So you can diffuse citruses at night. Citrus bloom is great at night, kind of thing, because it's just relaxing oils and that. So yeah, if you kind of like, okay, rosemary, I don't like it by itself. Wild orange fixes everything, kind of thing. Green mandarin, bergamot, all that type of thing. So yeah, I do that. And, you know, then you can start to maybe then bring in the Shinrin Yoku or something as you're winding down.
Yeah. Great. Okay then, thank you.
My pleasure.
I do just want to say also, and I know we've mentioned it in this program, I'm going to highlight Mito2 Max again. So this has been reformulated and brought into the MetaPower system, so to support your metabolic system and overall well-being. And the Mito2 Max offers us a really beautiful slow release of energy. So I find that's good for an afternoon pick me up when needed. So you might find that will support you, Wendy, again, without just like shoving you into this, you know, high energy and then crash. It's not like that. It's just like this slow release, and it brings mental clarity, or for me anyway, and really helps me to get done what I need to get done.
Okay, and what was that again? Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Mito 2 Max. I'll pop it in the chat. MITO numerical 2 MAX.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
With the adrenal fatigue, that was something that I was taking 2 of every morning as well. And an American nurse gave a really good guideline on whether you need Mito 2 Max or not. She said, how do you feel at 8 a.m. in the morning? Because as I said, your cortisol should be up in the morning because it's basically trying to get you up and going. If you're still struggling at 8 a.m., that's a really good indication that Mito 2 Max is going to be a really good one to serve you.
Right.
Yeah.
I do believe that I do have some adrenal fatigue and everything, but I've never worked with it. So obviously it's been impacted. So it's me now to actually work with that. Yeah.
It'll be in Australia by the winter.
Yes, it will.
Right.
Mito 2 Max, lavender peace, soft gels. What am I missing? Oh, Metapower
Recharge.
Yeah.
All coming.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I know all of those that's come in.
So
Lovely.
take a
Thank
look
you.
at the workbook again that's in there, and then some of the other PDFs from us, because there are blends in there, again, blends with Tulsi and some of the small leaves, and you can really lean into it. Those of you with Gifts of the Essential Oils book that Adam and I wrote, you can open up the spearmint page, for instance, and you'll see what's written about spearmint, and then some blends in there. Things out, add things in, that will help. Other new probiotics likely to come here? Is that what that just said?
Yes. Yeah, that was a question.
Yeah.
And the answer will be yes, but not this year.
Yes. 2026 is likely when the VMG Plus with the new Omegas and PB Restore will come in. Yeah. But you can get it, I mean, in Australia, New Zealand, for those that are in this market, you can already get that. You just purchase it through your USA site.
A good way to use your rewards points.
Great.
My little hack as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording there so people who are watching the recording aren't, extending this out too long. And there will be time for if there's any personal or private questions. Thank you so much, Adam. This was brilliant to hear from you, and, just to walk around the home with you, see where you place your diffusers, what you're putting into them, when and why. So can everyone put a number 8 in the comment if you found tonight amazing and so informative, and you are going to start activating your life with some of these great suggestions? Yes. Fantastic. Great. All righty. I'm going to stop the recording there. Please remember to lean into your portal. All the resources are there and all of the recordings are there. We've uploaded everything, well, Sam, when I say we, to YouTube, an unlisted YouTube channel. So there's a whole YouTube playlist where you'll find everything on there. You can comment on the videos. You can rewatch them as often as you want. You can print off your resources or just use them digitally, however you like to use them. We hope that you just keep having fun. So we'll see you for our next session. I'm going to stop recording now, and I think I'm due to give something away the next session. So for everyone who rocks up live for the next session, I will have a nice little gift to give away.
Woohoo. I've got some questions if you don't mind.
Yep, I'm just going to stop recording and then
Okay.
let's go into them. One sec.